All right, I think it's time to keep going. I've got about 20 minutes here to. I've been asked to tell you just a little bit about my work with electric violins. So it's kind of fun to be able to tell a little bit about my life and some of the journeys that I have had. I really enjoyed the last session hearing about one of your teachers' trajectories in teaching and music education and in performing. Just wonderful to hear those kinds of stories because I think we can sort of see ourselves in some of those. And my story is one that many of you might have in some way. So let me just talk a little bit about my journey as an electric violin player. As a kid, I started playing violin when I was 6 years old, and as I've told you, I took Suzuki lessons, and I ended up learning how to play bass guitar. And I played bass guitar in lots of rock bands and jazz ensembles through high school. And as part of my work with these various bands, I got an acoustic violin and put a pickup on it so that I could play electrified. And I remember this band on the right was a band that when we did the bunny hop, we would play a lot of dances. When we played the bunny hop, I would put down my bass and pick up my electric violin and play the bunny hop. But I was always a rock guy. I liked rock music. I liked experimenting with music. I started writing music when I was in high school. And as I went on to become a music education major in college, I knew that I wanted being a creative musician to be part of my life as I went through my musical journey. So I didn't play much any electric violin except for this amplified violin when I was in high school and college, but I knew it was something I really wanted to do. And I have to tell you, electric violins really in the 70s when these pictures were taken really weren't around a whole lot either. I mean, this was something that was really brand new. But I got my music degree and I started teaching. My first year of teaching was 1987. And I had an orchestra at a high school in Pennsylvania. And this guy in the front of this picture, his name is Kurt Bachman. And his senior year of high school, he played cello in the orchestra. And he came to me one day and he said, "Hey, Mr. Laird, my band just got signed to a contract. I'm wondering if you would play on our first record." And his idea was that I would write a classical introduction to one of their pieces. Now, I'm going to tell you, the band was called Believer, and it was heavy. It was sort of about the time that Metallica was just breaking. So it was definitely very, very fast. We would have called it thrash in the days. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't know a whole lot about thrash music. I just knew that I had this student who got a recording contract, and that sounded pretty attractive to me. So in 1987, I had my first experience in a recording studio. I still wasn't playing an electric violin, but I recorded this title track to their song, their first record. And then that kind of got some interest from MTV, and that record was called Extraction from Mortality, of all things. And but in the end, it was on MTV. It was used on a thing they were doing about X Games sports. And I got a little bit of recognition for that. We did a second record and incorporated some more kind of rock elements into the music I was writing and playing. And by the time the third record came around, this would have been in 1992 or 1993, a friend of mine who lived in California knew I was playing this rock music, this heavy metal music, and he said, "Hey, Scott, I have this electric violin and I really don't use it. Would you like it?" And of course, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to get my hands on this thing." And he mailed it to me. And it showed up on my porch one day. And I tell people all the time, when I played the electric violin for the first time, it was like I had picked up my voice. I just knew when I played it that it was something special. And I used it on this record, the cover of which you can see right here. The album is called Dimensions, and I wrote a kind of a long kind of orchestra epic electric violin thing. And so I'm going to play a little bit of it for you so you can hear. But this is from 1993, and you'll hear my electric violin in this kind of heavy metal setting. Now I'm going to push ahead here just because we don't have a whole lot of time, and I'm going to try to keep square so I can really share all of this with you. So that I was a young teacher. I was playing in this band on the side, and it was really, really quite fun. And then I moved. I ended up moving to another part of the country, and but I still had this electric violin, and I wanted to do some new and interesting things. And right about that time, new computer technology came out for digital recording, and the kind of recording machines that someone could buy. This would have been in the mid 1990s, were called ADAT machines. They were digital 8-track recording machines. I ended up getting a couple of them, and I knew from my experience with Believer that I loved recording, I loved writing music, but I really didn't understand how the recording process worked. So I bought these machines, and I just decided I'm going to learn how to use these. This is sort of that idea about being a scientist that I shared with you earlier today. For me, I wanted to learn about this stuff. I wanted to be creative. I knew I was a good violin player, and I wanted to learn to put it all together. So I wrote and recorded a record. Now, this was in the day that you could record a CD and then go out and perform, and people would buy your CD. That doesn't happen quite the same way anymore, but I produced and recorded a CD called Freeway, and I would go out every Friday night and play mostly at bookstores. There was a store called Borders Books and Music back then that had live music every Friday night. And I would perform there, and I would usually get 50 or 75 bucks for playing there, and then I could sell as many CDs as I could. And some nights I would sell as many as 50 CDs at a performance because it was kind of unusual. This music was different. This music was a little bit more along the folk jazz side of things. And so I'll play a little bit of this. This is the title track from Freeway. And on this record, I was really experimenting with electric violins to see what they could do. The sounds you're hearing are electric violins. Okay, I'm going to stop that there. I know I'm sort of cutting a lot of the music up. You can find all of this stuff on YouTube and Spotify, to be honest with you. So this is just to give you a little smattering. Um, Moving on, I did that record. It was kind of successful, and I ended up right around 2000, probably around the time the seniors, before even you were born yet. I moved to North Carolina, where I live now. So I had written a whole nother record and decided to produce another record. The new record was called Simple Gifts, and I'm guessing that many of you recognize that title as being a really famous song that was used as the primary inspiration behind Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring and variations on Simple Gifts. Some of are on a shaker melody that many of you know. And I continued to develop my skills as an electric violinist. And I've got a little clip here of me performing at just an outdoor venue, and you'll get a feel for what my outdoor performances or what my live solo performances kind of look and feel like. So this is a little clip of me playing my arrangement of the title track to my second record, and it was called Simple Gifts. Here's the tune. I'll stop there and move on. So, with the electric violin, and really, I tell you all of this to just give you a feel for my life as I move through this and what you can do. And what the electric violin did for me was it really became a catalyst for me to want to learn how to improvise. I would watch lead guitar players in rock bands, or I would watch jazz guys play, and I would think, man, I want to know how to be creative in that way that I can play while there's chord changes going on in a way that's not just what's written in front of me. We've talked a lot about playing the written notes, but I wanted to use my aural skills, my skills in listening, to become a better player. So I started really all the way back when Freeway began, the first record. I started working on learning how to improvise. It's not something I knew how to do as a high school student. I had to really develop it as an adult. And what I learned was when we're improvising, we take a melody and some kind of a chord progression, and then we're really creating variations on that melody, much like a theme and variations in classical music. So I started writing chord progressions with my guitar. You'll see in all these pictures, I've got guitars and basses around. So I would write these melodies and chord progressions, and then I would use that to then create variations on the spot. And I used some really cool technology. It's looping technology, where I can record stuff live in front of an audience, and then it will keep playing, and then I can play my variations over top of it. So the next little clip I'm going to play for you, I'm going to keep it short, but it's called Table Talk, and it's a song that I wrote. You'll first hear the melody, and then you'll hear me improvise, and you'll see my my foot switching the parts on in the upper right hand corner. Now I'm improvising. Now I switch the chords. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep going, but this is another one that if you search Table Talk on YouTube, you can find that whole recording. Um, now, Uh,
Hi, everybody. My name is
I want to just say a couple of words about as a teacher, because as a teacher, what I have found, the things that I love to do are things that I find my students love to do. And so I started putting electric violins into my classroom very early, really around 1994 or so. We started, and you'll see these kids over here were part of the very first electric string quartet in a public school. This was in the Washington, D.C. area, and they really made quite a reputation for themselves as electric bowed string players. And we had a lot of fun. We played the national anthem for professional hockey games, and we played at the Rayburn Congressional Office Building in Washington D.C. and lots of other fun stuff. And in fact, even the company that makes my electric violins has used my students in some of their advertisements, which I think is super, super cool. This video is really just another example of me talking about my
Scott
teaching.
Laird, and I am the orchestra director at the
I'll
North
show you just
Carolina
a
School
second
of
of that.
Science and Math in Durham, North Carolina. I thought you'd like to know a little bit about how I am using my NS Design violins in an education environment, particularly this fall in our.
Now I'm
Hi,
just going to
everybody. My name is Scott Laird.
scoot past that. And again, if you'd like to watch that, you can certainly, if I go back, if you check out my electric experience in music education, any of the teachers, if you'd like to see that, that might be worth a quick look. It's about a 10-minute video on how I'm using electrics in my teaching. And then finally, just to bring it finally full circle, I've come back to making music with that guy from Believer, my first band. He and I did a new song just a couple, maybe 2 months ago, and it was premiered on YouTube, and just a really cool thing. It's called 11. And again, a quick search of my name and the word 11. And what's really cool about this is my son plays on the song also. So I'll show you just a second or two of this, and then I'll play a little something live just to get us out of here today. This is my son on bass. For the teachers out there, he's a first year string teacher in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The video is where I'm standing right now. I'll leave that as just a little something that you can check out if you'd like to. And I think what we'll do is just to sort of finish out, I'll play just about a 1 minute little bit of live playing for you. This is my arrangement of Loch Lomond, and we'll keep it really short. And that gets us pretty much right to our time here. I know that was really, really quick, but all of you can go back out and Look up some of these things if you really want to learn a little bit more about this metal band I played in, Believer. It's all over Spotify and YouTube. And I really hope that you've enjoyed this. And my primary goal in telling you about my electric violin life is just to say you can do it too. This has been an amazing creative tool for me. And whether it's on an acoustic instrument or on an electric instrument, learning to be a creative musician is really fulfilling. And for me, I wanted to learn how to play the classical stuff that was written on the page in front of me, but I wanted to be able to write music as well. And I wanted to be able to perform. And so this has really opened up a lot of doors for me. So hopefully it's inspiring for you. It is. This is it for me for the day. It's been a real honor to be with you. If I can do anything for any of you, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm easy to find, and it's been awesome to spend the morning with you. Thanks to all of you.